This is Paris 4 days. We are continuing. So we left off here at Saint Sulpice Church. Okay. So it say that Saint Sulpice Church, founded by the Abbey of Saint Germain-des-Prés and rebuilt several times. It no longer presents a unity of style. The facade is antique, the towers dissimilar. The facade of the transept Jesuit style. Let's see. Antique. Inside the Virgin's Chapel, decorated by Servandoni and his pupils, the organ case, one of the best in France, murals by Delacroix. Take the Rue Bonaparte, then turn left at Rue de Vaugirard, and you will come to the Luxembourg Palace and Gardens. The Jardins du Luxembourg Montparnasse Tower on the background is shown here. Jardins du Luxembourg. Luxembourg Palace and Gardens. In the reign of Saint Louis, a group of Carthusian monks settled on this verdant site. It has changed very little since the 17th century, when Marie de Medici turned into a French-style park. This place, 23 hectares, which remains the same now as then. It contains a large number of monuments. And including the Medici fountain. It's quite beautiful. Ow! So this is the Jardins and Palais du Luxembourg. This is also showing the palace, and it's built 1615 through 1620. Saint Sulpice Church, which we just did, with asymmetrical towers. Let's see. The Fontaine Medici. The Luxembourg Palace was also built by Marie de Medici. She had the Hotel du Luxembourg, which she had bought in 1612, extended. This is now the Palais du Petit Luxembourg in the Rue de Vaugirard. The new place or palace, built in Florentine style, passed to various owners. It was the seat of the Directory of 1795 through 1799, and since 1879 has housed the Senate. Leave the Luxembourg Gardens by the gate into the Place Edmond Rostand. It is a short walk from here along the Rue Soufflot. Architect of the Pantheon to this monument. The Pantheon is next. So these are the jardins de Luxembourg, Fontaine Medici. I don't know if Fontaine means fountain, maybe, but it's really nice. Surrounded by trees and that reflect onto the water, make the water look green. There's like vases on the sides along the pool of the water. The Pantheon. The building, originally intended as a church, was finished in 1789. At the time of the Revolution, it was turned into a hall of fame for the great men to French liberty. The building has twice been restored to its original use, but since 1885 has been turned once again into a secular necropolis. Among the memorials are those to Voltaire, J.J. Rousseau, Carnot, Victor Hugo, Émile Zola, Jean Jaurès, Jean Moulin. The building has been unaltered over the centuries, the Pantheon, and which is shown here, the Rue Soufflot Pantheon, the Pantheon. It's a blend of classical and neo-Gothic styles. The Church of Saint Etienne de Mont stands in the same square as the Pantheon. This 17th century building contains the shrine of Saint Genevieve. It has a unique frontage with 3 superimposed facades. The only rood screen in Paris is also seen in this building, Renaissance style. This building. The clock tower Tour Clovis is in the Henry IV Lycée at the side of the church. This is the last surviving part of the Abbaye Sainte Genevieve. You reach the Sorbonne along the Rue Cujas, founded by the Canon Robert de Sorbonne, confessor to Saint Louis. This building still contains a section of the arts faculty and some of the offices of the Paris Academy. Richelieu's tomb is in the Sorbonne Church, and the crypt contains the tombs of other members of the university who died for their country. Go along the Boulevard Saint-Michel, always busy with the constant coming and going of students, to the Boulevard Saint-Germain. The Hotel de Cluny, built by the abbots of Cluny, stand on the corner of these 2 roads. He is a particularly fine example of a large private dwelling built in the 15th century. Today he houses a museum of medieval history, the Hotel de Cluny. Yes. The remains of Roman baths have been uncovered on this site as well. On the metro, take Carré de Austerlitz line from the Odeon station to Austerlitz station, number 10 line. The Jardin des Plantes is on the left as you cross the Seine by the Austerlitz bridge. This is both botanical and zoological garden as well as a public park and natural history museum. Behind us are the new buildings of the science facility. This is showing the Sorbonne. the Place de la Bastille. On the other side of the Seine, the Boulevard de la Bastille lands up to the square where the famous fortress of this name once stood. As a royal prison, this building was the symbol of the tyranny of the monarchy. The Bastille was captured by the Parisians on 14th July 1789 and razed to the ground. The Colonne de Juliette was erected in 1840 to the memory of those who had died during the 1830 July Revolution and are buried below it. The Genie de la Liberté stands 52 meters of the ground at the top of the column. This is Place de la Bastille, Colonne de Juliette, 1840. So I guess that's the Genie de la Liberté, right up there. It's like a statue of a flying, like an angel-looking thing. The Hotel de Cluny, 1485 to 1500, is shown here. Very lush trees. Okay. Place de Vosges and the Marais district. Henry IV developed the marshy land on the right bank opposite the Isla of St. Louis, which had been parceled out under Louis XIII, had a fine square built here, combining cut stone and brickwork, and in 36 houses of 2 stories above an arcaded portico, topped by a steep roof pierced by dormer windows. In the center of the southern facade stood the king's house, facing on the north the queen's. Richelieu, Madame de Sévigné, Bossuet, and Victor Hugo, whose house can be visited, lived in this square, which used to be called the Royal Square, until it was renamed Place de Vosges in honor of the first department, which approved the payment of national taxes in 1800. So this is the Place de Vosges, the garden of Louis XIII. Excuse me. Henry's operation was successful. Henry the Fourth. This is the Hotel de Sens illuminated. So Henry's operation was successful, and soon the Marais, until then the rural property of abbeys or great lords, became fashionable investments and were covered during the 17th and 18th centuries by new buildings, many of which retained their original fronts and old picturesque houses, and above all, some very fine aristocratic own houses. The neighborhood is entered by Rue Saint Antoine and Rue des Tournelles. Near the Hotel de Ville, down Rue de Hotel de Ville, is the Hotel de Sens, built in the 15th century for the archbishops of Sens, which included the Diocese of Paris. Rue du Figuier leads to the Hotel de Almont, 17th century. And at number 7, Rue de Jouy. Rue de Arcailles leads one quickly to the Hotel de Soubise and the Hotel de Rohan, both built by de la Mer in the 18th century, and which at present house the National Record Office. In 12 minutes, a good walker passing through the old temple district can reach number 3 Rue Voltaire and discover the oldest house in Paris from 13th century. So this is once again the Hotel de Sens. It looks magical. It looks like it's made out of crystal. I don't know if it's because it's at night and there's illumination on it. But regardless, it's very nice. So it's from the 15th century. Hotel de Sens, and this is Hotel Sully. The Hotel Sully. I think we're gonna pause, or maybe we'll just finish. I guess so. The Hotel Carnavalet. Where is it? Here. At the corner of Rue de France Bourgeois and Rue Sévigné is the Hotel Carnavalet, so called by a corruption of the name of its second owner, Madame de Kernevenoy, which was built in 1544 and subsequently remodeled and enlarged by Mansart between 1655 and 1661. Madame de Sévigné lived there from 1677 until her death in 96. Today it is a museum which, by means of very ample documentation, immerses one in the Parisian way of life from Henry IV till today. At the corner of Rue de France Bourgeois and Rue Pavie is Hotel de la Mognon, constructed at the end of the 16th century for Diane de France, the legitimate daughter of Henry II, and acquired by Lamoignon, the president of the Paris Parliament, who lived here from 1658. Racine, Madame de Sévigné, and Bouillot were guests here. By Rue Pavie, one should return to Rue Saint Antoine and turn to the left to see the Church of St. Paul and St. Louis, a Jesuit church which was built between 1627 and 1641 on the basis of plans for two, and represents one of the earliest examples of what is called the Jesuit style. The Hotel de Sully at number 62 in the same street, which we just passed, was started in 1624 by Jean-André du Cerceau. That was Hotel Sully. And So by Jean-André du Cerceau, and purchased in 1634 by Sully, who was then 75 years old. The Hotel de Mayenne or the Ormesson at number 21 was built by Jacques du Cerceau. And the one's Jean-André du Cerceau, and the Hotel de Mayenne or the Ormesson was by Jacques du Cerceau. We have not been able to mention more than a few of the great houses, of which the Marais district offers an exceptional choice, very felicitously restored. This is shown the Hotel Carnavalet. It almost looks dark, stained, or kind of creepy looking, but very interesting. This is the place of Bosques. And this is the Hotel Carnavalet Inner Court, with the statues and etc. details on the building. This is in the middle, in the courtyard. There's figures on the actual building as well, between each tall window. So that's where we'll leave off at the end of this day. Is